Liam and myself have just been cruising around Cheetah Plains to see. All is very, very quiet at the moment. I think whoopsie. Sorry people having a drink stop, I didn't know you were there. Give them a quick wave. But yes, we've just been searching around Cheetah Plains, and with this strange weather, most of the animals I think are hiding away, not really wanting to stay out in the open. Although I think that will have changed considerably by nightfall, and the impala and the wildebeest and other such animals are going to be gathering by the mass to spend the night out here. And a very big thank you to Bronwyn, who is watching in Durban. And Bronwyn tells me that there is a cold but dry front on its way. I've just heard an update for you. Tingana made another kill, even if he did lose his kill to the lions. Tingana made another kill on Hoffman's. So the property, for those of you who keep track of us and our maps and where the various places are, if you're looking to the south of Djuma and on the western boundary. So that little bit between Arathusa and Djuma, just to the south of that. So that is Hoffman's, and that is where Tingana is with another kill. So he has recovered nicely. In the meantime, we've been checking carefully for Inkanyeni as well, of course. I still haven't managed to see her. I think I'm the last person left. I still haven't had a chance. Vim, you saw her the other day with James. Seen her twice. Well, that's just unfair. That's just not very fair at all. And I still haven't seen the pangolin, the famous pangolin that's around Cheetah Plains. So you never know. There's hope yet, and the night is yet young, or at least the evening is yet young. But we still have a chance. I've mentioned that it's also particularly hazy this afternoon, and Brent said that he thought that there might be a fire off somewhere in the distance, and I believe that he might be right, although it is starting to clear away. But Janet, you were wondering, do we get a lot of brack fires during our dry season? And yes, we do, and they can be, and I'm sure some of you come from parts of the world where you will be familiar with this. They can be absolutely terrifying. A runaway veld fire is a very, very scary thing. That being said, at the moment, Janet, there is so little grass cover in this particular area that it would struggle to spread very quickly and very far. But on a windy day like today, you could still do that. Fires are a naturally occurring event out here. They actually do a great deal of ecological good in terms of removing what's known as moribund material from the area. Oh, over to Brent. Let's see what he's got.
Look at this, guys. Now, this is not something we see too often. It is a vine snake, and he's been caught crossing the road. Now he's feeling a bit awkward, and he's raised his head, and that's a very common trait in snakes that you see. Quite often, if you go a little bit closer, they even flare their neck. Now, so it's not only the cobras that can flare their necks, lots of other snake species can. The cobra's hood is just a lot more prominent. Now, he's got the most incredibly bright a photograph of it. Now, he's pretending to be a stick. That's exactly what he's doing. So I'll talk a little bit more about his venom and stuff. Apparently I can't lie down because we lose audio, because I think my chest's on the ground. Well, you know, I got enough shots that I can show you what I want to talk about, at least. So we're going to leave him, shame, poor guy. He really wants to get to the tree on the other side of the road. Oh, beautiful little snake. Let's see. So they eat birds and insects, and they have what is called, so it's hemotoxic venom. It's a lot of old world snakes have that venom, and we can't really see. We'll have a look a little bit later, but there we go. Just you can see how pretty they are up close. Okay, well, shame. Let them get across the road. Out here, we don't have chickens that need to cross the road. We have snakes. So, hemotoxic venom. And I have been asked about a snake anecdote, but I will get to, I've got actually quite a lot. Snakes often cause much pandemonium and much hilariousness in the safari world. But I'll just chat to you quickly about his venom. So hemotoxic venom, so hemoglobin, blood, it affects your blood. It actually causes you to bleed out of all your orifices. It is very slow acting venom though, so if you do get bitten, you have lots of time to react. The other thing is, it is so incredibly rare to be bitten by one of those snakes. They're not very fast, and the other thing is they are back fanged. They're old world snakes, so their fang is in the back. They do not have a hollow fang, they've got a grooved fang, and their venom is very viscous, very thick, almost like honey. So when they catch any potential prey they might have attracted with that bright lure of theirs, they literally have to grab onto it like that, and then they chew it and let it go. And then they will then track whatever they've caught till it dies. It's very unusual for them to just boop and swallow. It doesn't have very fast acting venom. So that is the complete opposite, of course, from the mambas and cobras. New world snakes, adders, they are front fanged, and their fangs are hollow, like hypodermic needles. They also have specialized muscles around their venom sacs that push down so they can control the amount of venom that's squeezed out. So far more effective at injecting their venom than an old world snake. Now, funny snake anecdotes. Wow, there's a lot.
What about the one with beer?
Well, actually one happened 2 days ago, and it happened to VM, who's on, and I was on the vehicle with Jamie this afternoon. So we went to go fetch something from my house. I think it could have been my cap, and we've got these big antennas there, and I was reversing out of our driveway, and that antenna hit the tree, and a little spotted bush snake leapt out of the tree. Luckily did not land on VM, it landed on the ground just behind. And apparently VM and Brian and the other camera department have talked a lot about the possibility of that aerial dislodging a snake onto them, but that's the closest it's ever come. And there's one from this week even. Okay, I heard a report that there might be some action around the Buffels Hook waterhole, so I'm going to go have a look there, see what's going on. So Charlene in the Ukraine. I think this must be one of, not our first, but definitely we don't have too many from the Ukraine, so welcome. And hopefully you're enjoying a warm summer unlike our cold winter. Charlene would like to know how many different snakes occur in the reserve. Oh, Charlene, Let's think. Have we got a roadblock again? Does that look like a roadblock to you down the road, Ryan? It's this darn Saturday afternoon traffic, I tell you. I'm trying to go look for a cat, and there's just traffic in the road. But what I was saying, there's more elephants crossing the road in front of me. Well, let's just think. Off the top of my head, I'd say there's really easy 50 cross. And we're not going to mass. I heard about it, the Djuma pan earlier. Looking for cats now. Okay, so we're going through a bit of a bad signal.
Oh, it seems as though Brent's signal was struggling there a little bit, but what an exciting sighting. I've yet to see, I don't think I've seen a vine snake since going on Djuma, so that is a wonderful sighting for you to all share. We were actually just about to go through a bit of a bad signal patch ourselves, but we'll stop here for a moment and we'll have a look at what happens when you pump water to dams. Unfortunately, it's just one of those things that your pipes have got to come from somewhere, and sometimes the pipes either have holes in them, or, as I think has happened here, the elephants with their incredibly sensitive senses of smell will come and dig them up. And actually, and I think the evidence there is relatively clear. What do you think, VM? I think it might be. Yep, no, the elephants have most definitely come through and dug up the water pipes there. And that's one of the big reasons why I often wondered whenever we drove along here why this patch of grass is so incredibly green. And I think we have our answer in that it sits right over where the water pipe trench is. And as a result, just even the tiniest of leaks give this area a bit more in the way of nutrients and moisture. Now, I've been struggling to think about which particular elephant anecdote I would have liked to have shared with you. We got distracted from that sighting and we went back over to Brent. But since we're here and since we are looking at water pipes, I spent a good close to 2 days solid work from morning till night, fixing up a water pump and fixing up the pipes that led through to the dam. And as soon as I had finished it, a big male elephant walked up in the middle of the night, dug them out, and promptly burst all of the pipes, and we had to start again straight from scratch. He had a wonderful time, though. I mean, there were bits of pipe. You often see elephants, they like to, I've seen lions do it as well before where they've been dug up pipes, but they like to pick up the pipe and swing it around and play with it like it's a toy and throw it and then pick it up and then stomp on it because it makes a cracking sound, and put it in their mouths and chomp on it a little bit. And the whole time, because it was right outside the camp, the whole time Lexi was lying in the dark, just growling constantly. And I'd kept investigating and I didn't see what it was. I thought that maybe a hyena was lurking about or a civet. Anyway, she was trying to tell me that an elephant had just undone 2 days of hard work. And that's a very common story. The elephants love to do that. It actually wasn't. It was grey water. It wasn't straight from the water pump. It was a trench for the grey water from the washing machine. That's what it was. And elephants, for some reason, do really enjoy grey water. But that, I think we can safely say, it was either the elephants or, to be fair to them, they might have come through just to take advantage of it. We're just about to go forward into a slightly bad signal dip, but let's go see if we can find a nice sunset view. And Gilly, in the UK, you're obviously a Kruger National Park visitor in your time. You were wondering how far are we from the Crocodile River, since you've seen it flooded and you've seen it but a trickle, but you have never seen it completely dry and empty. No, there's no sunset. It's all over. That's a pity. You can have a look at the stunning colours of the sky while I answer Julie's question. Julie, the Crocodile River is the far south of the Kruger National Park area. So in a straight line, and you know what I keep forgetting to do? It's so silly of me, and I don't think that I've got it. I keep forgetting to pick up that Kruger National Park map. No, I don't have it. I have a porcupine quill though, if you'd like to have a look at that. The random things that one finds in strange places. The porcupine quill I must have picked up on drive and forgotten to remove. Anyway, distracted from Julie's answer. Could the animals walk there? Yes, absolutely they could, and elephants could well travel all the way. They're much more renowned for those enormous distances that the herds travel. Julie, the rest of the animals, there's actually 2 other rivers that are a bit closer that would provide water as well, that I have yet to see run dry, and that is the Sand River and the Sabi River. And both of which have been, after the big rains that we had, I think it was around, excuse me, around February, we had those rains. We noticed that the rivers started to flow again. Now, this Crocodile River, if I had to guess, in a straight line is probably close to around maybe 100 kilometers away, if not more. 100 kilometers would be about right. So still a long way away from where we are now. And of course, the Kruger National Park, I'm not even going to, here's an anecdote for you. It must be one of VM's favorite moments in terms of the times that we have worked together. The time I tried to move a silver cluster leaf out of the road. Guess what? I'm not going to be doing it with this one because VM says, last time I tried that, I picked the stupidest branch. I don't know why. You know when your brain just doesn't work. I picked the stupidest branch and it snapped and we were live and I fell over onto my bottom. And it was hilarious, and then I couldn't stop laughing, and I was laughing so much that I started pouring tears out of my eyes from the laughter. So I'm going to go around the silver cluster leaf and try not to go through it. While I do, let's head back across to Brent.
So we're rushing off to the report of a single lioness, probably the Nkahuma who's got cubs in Torchwood at Buffelshoek Waterhole, but unfortunately, by the time we got there, she'd gone. So we're just doing a loop back towards the eastern edge of our traverse. She's keeping her cubs further to the east. So we're hoping we might catch her before she crosses the boundary. It doesn't look like she came directly this way. There's a young male waterbuck. Almost looks like he's standing guard at Quarry Pan. And he looks far too relaxed to have spotted a lion recently. So let's check a little bit further to the north. She might still be hunting and left the cubs to go have a drink and then continue hunting. So she could have gone anywhere. There have been some elephants around there, so we didn't see any tracks. Debbie would like to know, what is the best soil for tracking? Well, nice sandy soil like we're driving on at the moment, Debbie, and preferably no elephant herds walking over the tracks, no buffalo herds and impala herds, anything just walking over the tracks, but no, sandy soils are definitely the best. Okay, so we're going to do a loop back to the north. So this little area here along Cheetah Cut Line, Hippo Pools Road is a really great place to see tracks. And not only is it frequented by the cats, it's also really lovely and sandy. She could literally pop out anywhere here. So fingers crossed that we catch her before she disappears to the east. Hi, Racers. Saying it's been a long time since she's heard any news of Mr. Anderson. For those who are not sure, Mr. Anderson is the largest male leopard in the Sabi Sands, and he holds territory mostly to the west and to the south of us. And Racers wondering where he is. We see he goes into Londolozi quite a lot, but then he still spends a majority of the time slightly the west of the Marikani drainage. He was very close to Arathusa a couple of days ago on a kill, but just outside of our traverse zone. So he is still about, and unfortunately we just haven't had him on Arathusa for a while. No sign of this lioness just yet. Oh, I do see a game drive vehicle there. I think that's Andrew, who's also searching for this lioness. I'm just going to have a quick powwow on how the best way to do it. Are you? Yeah, she's from Bile. I didn't see any Nkonzo coming up to Hippo Pools, so I'm going to go back down the fire break and check there. I don't know if you want to check Drakensberg or Goripan. Okay.
So, but then maybe you think it's Manan.
Yeah, it's the mother.
Yeah. I don't know.
So I think she's probably going to cross east.
Then I will be standing by.
Okay, perfect.
Good shot.
Thanks, Andy.
I will listen to you.
Cheers, guys. There you go. Andrew's going to stand by up here. We're going to head down the fire break and see if we can find anything apart from the elephant arrangement that we're just trying to squeeze through. There we go. Okay, so you can see it's still quite light, but I've got these bright headlights on. And don't worry, it's not because I'm as blind as a bat and can't see where I'm going. Apparently my mic has fallen down. Brian giving me scratching on something. Just give me a second. Sorry about this. Ooh, what's it caught on? Is that better, sir? There we go, now you can hear me. Okay, so I've just got these bright lights on just in case I can see her tracks. And that'll just give us a better idea of where to look. Bouncy, bouncy. But so far, no sign. So if she hasn't gone north, I think she might have gone back east. But we will check on Gwari Pan Road as well. It's the only little road, once we've done this one, in the area she could have disappeared down that we might have missed her. You can see not the most well-used or best road since we are sitting like this now. And now Fiona is wondering, do we put salt licks out for the game animals? We do not, Fiona. This is a wild system. It's a natural system. That would be interfering. The animals here get their salt from the soil. This morning on the sunrise safari, we actually watched some elephants eating salty mud to get their salt content or mineral intake. No, nothing just yet. What we are hoping is we don't find any tracks on this road going to the north. Quick stop and look. Okay, good news is, doesn't look like any tracks going out of Djuma, so let's go check back down towards the waterhole and then around from the next road along. This half light is it's still better not to use a spotlight in this half light. You actually lose out on quite a lot of your visuals. When it's just before dark, quite often you're going to pick up more with your eye than with the spotlight. Oh, there you go. The Terminalia elephant arch. It's going to fall down one of these days across the road, but not just yet. I'm really hoping we sort of come around the corner and there she is walking towards us. Pretty sure it's the Nkuma lioness who's got the cubs. Of course, without seeing it, can't be 100% sure. And now, speaking of Nkuma lions, Mr. Junior has been back around and misbehaving. Now, he is a huge threat to these cubs and the cubs that are about to be born. And it'll be very interesting to see if the females are as tolerant as they once were. But also a very interesting little bit of tidbit of information that I'm sure a lot of you out there are going to be very, very excited about. As Junior's got a friend. So he's seems to have formed at the moment. It doesn't mean they've formed properly yet. But him and another young male, just a little bit younger than him, that looks like possibly come out of the southern Manyeleti somewhere, have joined up and they've been hanging around on Sibambili to the west of us. So it looks like he's found someone to form a coalition with, which will already double his chance for survival. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like she came this way. Well, it's a double-edged sword. I'm hoping to sort of catch her walking towards us, but it doesn't look like it. So it means she's probably gone further to the southeast, and that means deeper into Djuma for now, but also a much bigger and more difficult area to find her in. We're going to keep checking for this lioness while we do that, and let's go see what Jamie's been up to.
Now, unfortunately, I'm a little bit too far to help Brent out with his lion search. But But you never know, the southern boundary is a metaphorical highway for the lions. They love to walk along this particular road, nice and wide and open. And as you know, the predators do enjoy walking in the middle of the road. It's quiet and silent. And just to let you know, we did go past Tundi. She hasn't moved from her position in the tree, just speaking of predators. She's still quite happily ensconced on that big tamboti. Unfortunately, we didn't manage to get any signal there, so we have moved on. And particularly since in the dark, with her so far away, she is outside of our traverse area, which means that we couldn't get any closer to go and have a look at her. All right, now we're down to the final wire in terms of this anecdote competition. And I know it has been interrupted by streaming issues, but we have got to the exciting part of the evening. Not that the rest of the afternoon isn't exciting, but there's always a great sense of excitement as one starts to head into darkness and look for the more unusual of animals. Oh, and it is properly down to the wire here. 52% of you siding with me, but 48 on Brent's team. So it is exceptionally close, just 4% between us. It all rides on this VM. I'm going to have to find something exciting to tell you a story about. I have to be honest though, one of the big reasons that I suggested this competition in the first place is because Brent is an absolute wealth of incredible stories. He has seen and experienced some very, very interesting things in his life. I thought it might be quite fun to share, and we all have as guides, to live this kind of a life. You build up a plethora of stories that sometimes you forget about, and it just takes a little bit of prodding to remind you. We have the camera for it. Is it going to stay? Oh no. Oh, I see you. The joys of live safaris. It's right in the middle of my spotlight there, VM. I don't know if you can see it. Where's it gone? There it is. There it is. Well done. Go VM. Managing to have a look at a bush baby. Albeit particularly hidden, but you can see it casting about with its head. Looking for, at this time of year, less insects and more tree gums. It is still there. Definitely one of my cutest and favorite of the primates. They are utterly adorable. Is he still? Yes, he is still there. You can see the long fluffy tail, perfect balancing instrument. Now it's very far away from me, so I have to keep sort of looking at where it is versus where my spotlight is, and then checking what you can see through the eyes of the camera. There we go, perfect. Thank you, little guy. Look at that, he's even chewing on the bark to get to the gum. So that's exactly what I was talking about, the fact that in winter their diet consists of a large portion of tree sap or gum. That's exactly what he's doing here. They search for spots where the wood borer insects of different varieties have broken through the bark, and then they go and they lap up the sap. My anecdote for our bush baby. Oh, there you go. Oh dear, where'd you go? Did you jump to right?
Yes.
I don't know where he went. I'm going to have to cast about with my spotlight for a little bit. That was awesome. We hardly ever get to see bush babies like that, so that was really, truly enjoyable. Oh, the guys think that they can see him. Kirsty says in the middle. I'm not quite sure what in the middle means, Kirst. Oh, is that him there? Yes, that is him. Is that him? Or is that a branch? There. You're looking sort of in the middle of the screen now, Chris. Oh, is that? There we go. There he is. There he is. Go down a little bit, Liam. Kirsty, that was incredible spotting. He's right at the back. We won't be able to get it. There he is. He is in there. He is. I can see his eyes shining at me. But to direct where I know what we can do. We can roll forward. That will help. The joys of wild live filming. Sometimes your subjects just don't get that we need a close-up of them. There he is at the back on the right hand. There we go. Well done, VM. I'm just going to hold my arm really still because I can't see where he is from my angle. I'm going to trust there that he sticks around for a little bit. There you go, you've got his bright eyes shining through. Hello, little one. I always wonder if the cameramen hate us slightly whenever we stop for a bush baby because they are incredibly difficult to film. Luckily for us, we have incredibly talented cameramen. Do you hate us, Veer, when we stop for bush babies?
Bush babies and squirrels.
Bush babies and squirrels. I thought I might get away with a bit of flattery at the same time, but no. My bush baby anecdote was when I was a kid. We had this wonderful thing at the schools where they would bring, there's a program called Free Me, as we move on from our little bush baby who has just jumped even further back into the bushes. We had a project called Free Me, which is a rescue centre in Johannesburg. I'm just going to double check for him. No, I think he's moved right to the back. And they used to bring their animals through for us to have a look at. Now, I don't think they do that anymore. I think that the understanding now is to have as little influence on the animals as possible. But back when I was a child, they used to bring the animals with them. They'd transport them to the different schools and you got to have a look at them and get taught a little bit about the way that the animals work and operate in the wild. And they had a bush baby that they brought to the school the one day. And this little thing jumped all over us, all over our faces and in our hair. I went to an all-girls junior school, let's put it that way. So it was just girls, and we all little girls with this little thing climbing in our hair and absolutely having a ball. And then they took the bush baby back and they cuddled it and went back to sleep. And the gentleman who was giving the lecture then proceeded to tell us how bush babies scent mark. Now, bush babies, when they scent mark, dribble just a few drops of urine and they grab it with their front paws, with their hands essentially, and they give their hands a jolly good rub, and then they rub it all over their feet, and then they hop from branch to branch, spreading the scent of their urine. Well, you can just imagine how this went down with a group of city kids, city little girls, and whilst in South Africa most children, or a lot of children, are fortunate enough to be exposed to the Kruger National Park and to the wilderness areas, but never quite in such proximity, and perhaps the shock of discovering that we had essentially just been peed on by a bush baby was a little bit too much for some of the fainter at heart to stand. And there was some significant distress that day, and the teachers did some considerable comforting. I'll never forget the looks of shock and horror. I mean, I must say we were about 8 years old at the time. There you go, the bush baby anecdote. There's also, I actually have two anecdotes for this one, but I know I said you can only have one. But when Brent and myself went to the Kruger National Park recently, just before my birthday, we went and we stayed up in Pafuri, which is right up to the north, and we stayed just outside the park in a little campsite on the river where we had a tent on a wooden platform. Now the bush baby gets its name from the cry of the greater galago, or the thick-tailed bush baby, that I promise you sounds like a baby in full scream. A baby that has a wet nappy and is hungry and is tired, all rolled into one. That is what a thick-tailed bush baby sounds like. It was quite a long journey and we were absolutely exhausted. We went passed out fast asleep, and about 4 o'clock in the morning, this bush baby climbed on top of our tent and screamed right in through the windows. And you have never seen two people levitate like we did. It was incredible. I had no idea Brent could move that fast. We got such a fright. And it's not like it's the first time either of us have heard that sound before, but when it screamed in your ear at 4 o'clock in the morning through the thin material, the top part of the tent was completely open, and it does have quite a surprising effect on one. Zoe, you were wondering whether you can get bush baby pets in South Africa. It sort of takes us down the route of the conversations that we've had before about my feelings are that if a wild animal can be wild, it should be wild. I feel as though we have enough domesticated animals and I mean essentially a pet for a lot of us, it's that connection to an animal. It's for our sake, and then for a lot of the animals, you know, they have dogs and cats. They've got thousands of years of evolution that has connected and domesticated them. For me, wild animals, if they can, should be left alone. So no, wild bush babies are not sold as pets. They're not kept as pets. However, that being said, bush babies very frequently fall out of their nests and can occasionally be abandoned by their parents if that does occur. So I know quite a few people in the bush that have rescued and raised baby bush babies and then quite happily let them be released into the wild after an extended, you know, once they're fully grown and fully independent. And they'll go out, they'll find a mate, they'll have babies, and then they'll come back and visit every now and again. And a lot of lodges have habituated bush babies. Oh yes, in a way you do get pet bush babies, but they're not so much pet bush babies as rescued bush babies. All right, well, let us see what other nocturnal animals Brent Leo Smith can find you.
So, we are now in search of all nocturnal things. We're still looking for that lioness, but unfortunately no luck so far. So we can't find any of her tracks heading north or east. So we're checking to the southwest. So could be good luck because that's deeper into Djuma. And I'm really, really hoping she moves those cubs into Djuma at some point shortly. So I've been in that den in Torchwood for quite a while now. And of course, all the other little nocturnal creatures and you've seen had a great sighting of a bush baby with Jamie. Now, even though we haven't seen a bush baby yet, I do have quite a funny little anecdote about bush baby, and different one from the one Jamie told. There's a very lovely little beach safari lodge in northern Zululand called Rocktail Bay, and I'm staying there with my family, and every night when you come down for dinner, a thick-tailed bush baby would leap onto the table, onto your back, or onto your head. And the funniest thing is that people who are not from the bush, sorry, 1 second, get the biggest fright ever. Stand by one. And There was this one lady from Johannesburg who had the curliest of curly hair, and the bush baby jumped into her hair. She screamed. The bush baby got a fright, but her hair was so curly, the bush baby's nails and got stuck. So now the bush baby was trying to jump off her, but was stuck to her curly hair. It was very, very funny. Standing by, Andrew. Negative. I checked the fire break down to Buffelshoek East, and then Quarry Pan, and now checking central to Nyala North. Still nothing. That doesn't sound very good.
We're just discussing the possibility of Thandi being pregnant. Unfortunately, Brent's signal dropped in mid-sentence, so that's why he disappeared off your screens. As you know, all sorts of challenges involved in bringing you a live safari. Oh, some zebbies running past. As you know, we don't spotlight diurnal animals. Zebra crossing, high-speed zebra crossing. Everybody gone? Yes? Yes. Oh yes, we were talking about the possibility of Thandi being pregnant. And I was wondering why, or actually VM was wondering why, she would have returned to that area, because it doesn't seem as though she does have anything left of a kill there, if indeed she ever had one before. And we're just thinking maybe there's a possibility that in that Mulwanini drainage line, so that river system that she was sleeping right next to, he might be thinking about having some cubs. She loves that area, and it's a perfect hiding place for little leopard babies. Her gestation period, we saw Tingana mating with her, I would say about roughly 100 or so days ago, which would put it at exactly right for her to have her cubs. And I think there is a distinct possibility. Now, whilst we will never know with any degree of certainty whether or not Tingana is the father of her cubs, leopard female is more successful and more promiscuous she is, essentially. She'll try and mate with as many males as possible to trick them into believing they're the father. Though who knows if he is the father. I do feel as though the aspersions cast upon his ability to produce offspring have proved to be relatively unfounded. Brent has signal again. So let's head back to him.
Sorry about that. We just went through a little dip, and so far, I think Jamie is winning this sunset safari. Definitely on the animals. We've had some lovely ellies, but scant else. Oh, actually some nice kudu as well. And I'm hoping for a rare little nocturnal creature somewhere towards the end of the safari. So everyone apparently has been loving the stories. Well, thank you very much. Said I should write a book. Maybe one day. Unfortunately, I have tried to write before. I'm just not very good at it. And if I can write how I speak, I think it'd be okay. But I can't. I think maybe I should just get a dictaphone and get someone else to put it in words. Or do an audio book, yes, in a modern age. You don't need paper. You can do an audio book. Very good idea, Brian. I think the thing that makes me most afeared about writing a book is the thought of actually writing or typing. Actually, more the fear of typing than writing. I'm one of those Luddites who still types like this. So I have never mastered the many fingers and it is a problem. So you generally find my email correspondence is short, concise, and to the point. No waffling, because it took me about half an hour to write 3 lines. So, hi Rose. Rose is wondering how many years it takes to start working with wild animals. Well, Rose, there are various different courses that you can do where you can work with animals quite soon on. But to be left alone working with animals will probably take a good couple of years. And it all depends on what type of work you want to do with animals. With guiding, like what we do, is generally a year or 2, maybe a little less, before you are left alone with poor, unsuspecting tourists from afar. But it also just depends on your personality. Some people have a far easier time and a knack for reading animals and judging behavior and being comfortable in those situations, and some people will never be. So a lot of it depends on the person. So it seems like Jamie won the anecdote challenge, and with 55% of the votes, I had 45.
It's okay, Brent.
Thanks, Brian. Brian still loves me. But it's been wonderful having you. Sorry about we had a few little tech difficulties this evening. And some of it, for once, was not gremlins on the ground. It was gremlins in space attacking satellites. And somehow, I think Peter Braat sat on his porch in Cape Town, aimed his laser skyward and zapped away. And that seemed to have sorted those out. But don't forget to join us in a few short hours for the sunrise safari. It'll be James and Jamie leading you through the African bush. I am going to be having a snooze, and I'm quite looking forward to a little snooze. But from the Killer Bees, adios.
Yeah. I know that Brent is very much looking forward to having a little bit of a lion. We don't often get them, and we certainly have set body clock routines that wake us up regardless, but nevertheless that odd moment to just recharge your batteries is a really essential part of this whole thing. You know, of course, now that I've done this and I've introduced this competition, having taken it 55 to 45, which was very, very close by the sounds of things. I mean, so close as to that's how I'm going to sell it. So close as to basically be a tie. That's what I'm going to tell him. Otherwise, he's going to be terribly upset with me when we get home. I am joking, of course, and I'm glad that you all enjoyed our stories, and perhaps someday we will put together a book of the different and bizarre experiences of things that happen out here. You never know, you'll have to stay tuned to find out. Tomorrow morning holds plenty of promise. We'll go and investigate, see if Tundi is still around. There's so many things to be out looking for, and we will be seeing you in just a few short hours. But before we leave you, just to explain, we have an additional person to thank in Final Control. I've got something else. So my favorite part of this entire anecdote story was Kirsty in Final Control trying to say the word anecdote. For some reason she can't do it, and she kept saying antidote, which was my absolute best. Trying hard not to laugh at that while she was chatting to me. And there we go, she got it right now, anecdote. We have an additional person apart from Kirsty and Jerry in Final Control, and that is Chelsea. Now Chelsea is doing an internship with us. She is a graduate natural sciences filmmaker, and she also has plenty of camera work, operating skills, and editing experience as well. So she'll be with us for the next 2 months. And when you hear the name Chelsea, and some of you might have even seen her on our Facebook Live last night, that is who we're chatting about. All right, we have reached the end of our sunset safari. Oh, and just to finish off that thought, sorry, there's too many things going on in my head at the moment. We do extend our arms and a very warm welcome to Chelsea. We are thrilled to have her on board with us, and I'm looking forward to some of the things you'll be able to experience. Thank you, Liam, for all of your fantastic camera work, as always, including that bush baby, which was incredible. Stunning bush baby sighting. And thank you to our lovely ladies in Final Control. Most importantly, thank you to all of you. I know that today was a bit of an issue with the stream and it kept going down, but I promise you we are working on it. And thank you so much to all of you for staying as loyal as you always do. Have a fantastic day across the world, and we will catch you tomorrow morning for the sunrise safari. Bye-bye.